You are listening to the Stop the Hey Girl podcast, and I am your host, Kayla Ibanez. I am an Instagram and business strategist for online coaches who want to build a sustainable and scalable relationship-based business online without using age-old strategies like icky hey girl cold messages. I started my business during my daughter's 436-day hospital stay and built a $500,000 brand in less than 2 years. I want to show you that there is no right time to start a business. You can make a crazy big and impactful income online right now. We are talking all things business development, social media, marketing, and sales to help you show up as your most authentic self online so you can attract ideal clients who are ready to throw their credit card at you so you can stop chasing people and start enjoying your business again. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Stop the Hey Girl podcast. Today, we are talking about a topic that I know we've talked about at some point over the course of the past 2 years, but it's important to bring it back because you told me it's still happening to you. And that topic is ghosting. And also, can you believe that we've had this podcast, the Stop the Hey Girl podcast, for over 2 years now? Time flies. And remember, I want to be able to keep bringing you episodes on topics that help you and help your business in condensed time chunks. So whether you are driving to school, work, the grocery store, for lunch, out with your friends, you can get a little bit of business in these tiny pockets of time that you have. So with talking about ghosting, now the biggest thing, and again, I love helping people combat ghosting. But with that being said, just like you, I'm always a work in progress. And people are actually shocked to hear that I get ghosted. And that's because, yes, I make mistakes as well. I wish it was easy for me to say that I was perfect at sales and perfect at all this stuff, but it's just not true. I make mistakes. And today we're talking about the 3 main reasons you're getting ghosted. And I believe that knowledge is power. So I believe that once we know that this is happening, we can do what we need to do to fix the problem. So one of these 3 things is happening, at least when you get ghosted, when you are inviting to work with you in the DMs. And number 1 is when you invite someone to work with you, join your team, when you ask them if they want to hear more about what you do and they ghost you. The first reason that happens is because they lack trust or belief in you. So the biggest thing that you can do to help this is to make sure that your presence on social media is there to help give your audience the confidence that you actually know what you're talking about. And the best way that you can do this is to, as cliche as it is, show up authentically. I talk about things I enjoy and things that I love outside of business. I share quirky things. I share mistakes that I've made. I'm really raw and honest about things about this online business space that aren't always good things. I'm upfront when I screw up, and I believe that that helps build trust. So if you catch yourself only showing your highlight reel, that can be negatively impacting your audience's ability to trust you. And so I've asked you this before, and I'll ask you again, when's the last time that you talked about the hard things about building your business, the things that you're afraid to share because you think people will look at you in a negative light? Trust me, it builds trust. It builds trust and it builds authority, because when you try to pretend that everything's perfect and you have everything figured out, people know that's not true and they want to know what you're hiding or what could be going on underneath that highlight reel. The second reason why you are getting ghosted is because they lack belief in your solution or your offer. And this happens because you're showing up on social media only talking about the offer. You're talking about the things that come in the box. You're talking about the number of servings. But what you're not doing is talking about the transformation that you provide, in which the products or services in your network marketing company support that. If you are not focused on the outcome, that's the exact reason why people are not getting off the fence. People aren't buying something because you love it. They're buying something because they believe it's going to get them closer to getting what they want. So it's really important to give yourself a gut check here. Are you focused on the features and benefits of the products, or are you actually focused on communicating how you change the lives of the specific person that you're helping. And then to get even more specific here, are you actually specific about who you want to help? Because here's the thing, I'm not the mentor for everyone, and you are not the mentor for everyone. You are not the mentor for everyone. So it's really important to make sure that you are getting crystal clear about who you help and who you don't help. So I challenge you this week, get stronger at communicating who you don't help, who is not a good fit for your groups, who is not a good fit for your team, because that shows that you are actually putting in the time, the care, and the effort to be specific about not just bringing anyone onto your team. Because when it looks like you sign anyone with a pulse, which I know isn't true, but sometimes it looks that way, there's also no urgency created to sign up with you, because people are like, well, if someday when I feel like it, I know that this will still be available. It's a buyer psychology thing, but it's something that you have to think about, because it's much easier to ghost you, right? And then maybe they'll come back, maybe they don't, right? And then number 3, and this is honestly the most common one, and this is also the one that is addressed the least. It's addressed the least, and this one will probably shock you. The reason why people are ghosting you is because they lack belief in themselves. So I immediately think of my friends in the health and wellness space, right? People have tried how many solutions before you that haven't worked out for them? How many different things have they tried and, in their opinion, have failed at? That's really difficult and that's really challenging. They also have bought so many things that sit in their inbox. They've bought so many things that sit on their shelves not being used. And now you're asking them to purchase something. What evidence showcases that they actually have belief that this is going to work for them, right? There's a lot on the line here for your prospects. So what can you do? Your audience members, they're scared. And heck, honestly, those feelings are valid, right? Because when you've tried all the things, what makes your thing any different? And I want you to ask yourself that question. What makes my solution different from other things that people have tried? And if you can't answer that, you need to sit down and think long and hard about it before you go out inviting and selling. You have to think long and hard about that before you go out inviting and selling, because you need to be able to address that fear and address this obstacle in your content before it becomes an objection. Because here's the thing. If you wait for it to become an objection, it'll be a lot harder to overcome in the sales process. So how can you show that you understand that this is a fear that's coming up for them and you want to help them address it? Because trust me, when you take care of that, it's going to be an absolute game changer, because you're able to coach them through the fear, right? You can ask them, is this fear serving you, or is this fear keeping you from getting to where you want to be? But if you don't address it and you don't coach them through it, that fear can be the big, super obvious obstacle that's standing in the way of them getting what they want. And that obstacle will keep them from signing up with you. And honestly, because it's a lot easier to ghost you than it is to address that fear, they're very likely to just ghost you. Now, again, if you're recognizing at least one of these things coming up for you, sit down, re-listen to this podcast episode, and start addressing this, because I promise when you do, you will see a lot less ghosting in your network marketing business and a lot more people opening the doors to open and honest communication during the sales process. And that is how you can do your job as a mentor to help people get what they want. And that's the most fulfilling part of the sales process. Now, we're talking about sales all month long because I know you've got big goals for the holidays and you want to help as many people as possible in Q4. So tune in to next week's episode of the Stop the Hey Girl podcast for even more support in the sales and inviting process. And as always, take a screenshot of this episode, tag me on stories, tell me your biggest takeaway so that I know what type of content I can continue to create for you to help you out this year. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.